In our last episode, you will recall we spoke about the soaring fuel prices and the need for government to deal with the situation because of its attendant effects and to do so expeditiously before we get to a difficult place. Fast forward, a few weeks later, we are at that juncture. On Monday, many people missed work. Some were late for work, some missed hospital appointments, some missed job interviews, some missed school and examinations.
Where were you heading to?
School, UPSA.
You're heading towards UPSA. How do you feel about this? You've been asked to disembark from the vehicle that's going to take you there.
Well, I need to get to school and it's bad that I can't get there. And I don't feel okay.
So now what's going to be your alternative?
Pardon me?
What's going to be your alternative?
I don't know.
Starting from Ablekuma 6 o'clock. I'm here, still come. Now I'm coming, I reach here.
So you left Ablekuma at 6 o'clock?
Ablekuma 6 o'clock.
Wow. So why are you not getting here?
I won't get, I get a taxi. Uber, small to market to here, before I'm here.
And all of this happened because commercial drivers decided to park their vehicles to protest rising fuel prices. And you could not blame them. They had written to the government about their concerns. They had engaged the Transport Ministry on how rising fuel prices was affecting their work. This was way before the budget was read. The drivers had refused to increase fares and rather appealed to government to scrap taxes on fuel. But their concerns were disregarded until the public started feeling the impact of the strike. The government, which would have us believe that it is a listening one, had closed its ears to the concerns and suffering of the drivers and, by extension, the public. So across the country, hundreds of commuters were left stranded with no means of transportation. Frustrated commuters decided to trek on foot, just like this father pictured here carrying his daughter. Now, surprisingly, the commuters were not angry at the drivers. They rather directed their anger at government.
I understand the people's doing demonstration, because if they increase our transportation now, we the peoples are going to suffer, because my boss is not ready to increase my pay. So if they increase the petrol or the fuel, the transportation now, my salary is going to be the decrease. So somehow I understand what they are doing. It's not their fault because the petrol has been increased.
We must hail the drivers whose action was not a selfish one. It was for the benefit of all Ghanaians, including people who drive their own cars. For crying out loud, they disregarded their daily sales for an entire day. It was only when the strike started biting that government then invited the executives of GPRTU and other driver unions for negotiations. And we all saw the outcome of the negotiations. GOIL reduced the price of fuel the very next day.
On their pumps, on their various pumps across the country by tomorrow morning, I will not be surprised that they will be taking up about 15 pesos per liter on each of the products that they sell. That is what I envisage. That's the information that I'm getting. So I will not be surprised that it will drop to maybe about 6.7 thereabout tomorrow morning. I think it is a good sign, the good faith that the government has shown to the people, to the plight of the not only commercial transport owners, but to everybody who owns a vehicle.
Whether government forced GOIL's hands or not in that decision is a matter for another day. But did it have to come to that? In other countries, what we know is that public transport is driven by public agencies. Over here, we're having an over-dependence on private transport operators. And this exposes everybody. Have we even quantified the loss as a country that we suffered that day? I'm not sure we know. But we can safely say that hundreds of thousands of cedis have been lost from that one-day strike by the drivers across the country. Clearly, if we had a properly functioning public transport system, this situation could have been avoided. Even the 110 Ayalolo buses that were deployed could not address the problem. It was just a drop in the ocean, given the enormity, the vastness of the problem. And speaking of the public transport system, I'm sure you recall in November promise materialize. We have been looking up in the sky and they're nowhere to be seen. Probably the trains vanished into the skies. Poof, just like that. Well, even with that, just recently, Railways Minister Peter Amewu has burst our bubble by dispelling the notion that this promise of a sky train is not feasible. But I digress. So what lessons can the government learn from this strike? Government must listen to the people. The NPP government is in power because Ghanaians voted for them, so that they must serve their interest. If there's an overwhelming public opinion on an issue, they must step back and listen. And in this regard, it is our hope that they will listen to concerns about the e-levy. But beyond listening, they must also act. When the people complain, the government must always find ways of attending to their concerns and not shrugging them off.